The SteelSeries Rival 100 is pretty plain in terms of a gaming mouse, but it gets the job done, and it does so quite reliably. It's small, but still very comfy. A big complaint that's been on my videos of mice reviews is that I've only really reviewed bigger mice that don't really work well with smaller hands. And this mouse is quite the opposite. It is a much smaller mouse, one that's almost too small for my hand, but not enough because I do use a little bit of a claw grip, and so it works out very well. And so you small-handed gamers out there are going to finally appreciate a mouse that I'm reviewing.
This video is made possible thanks to lynda.com. Lynda.com makes it easy to pick up new skills, grow your hobbies, or learn to use new software through their in-depth and easy-to-follow video tutorials and courses. I try to post tutorials as often as I can, but you can't beat the extensive coverage on lynda.com. I still go through Lynda courses on the regular to learn new things. You can get a special 10-day free trial by clicking the screen now or going to eposvox.com/lynda to learn more.
Taking a physical tour of this mouse, let's start with the sides because they have a textured dotted grip on both sides. Now this is primarily going to be a right-handed mouse, not a universal one, as the back and forward buttons are only on the right side of the mouse. So your right thumb is going to be what's hitting those. So you lefties out there are going to be kind of missing out, though the actual form factor of the mouse will still work fine for left and right-handed users. But the buttons are going to be on your pinky if you're left-handed, so keep that in mind. The side grips are actually really nice. I wasn't expecting them to provide much grip, as they're not a rubbery texture, they're just a different plastic, and I was expecting that to not grip very well. Usually it doesn't. This grip actually provides just the right amount of grip. It still would have been nice to have a rubbery texture to it, admittedly, but this still, it's very nice to hold on to, and it keeps the mouse in your hand without digging into your hands or anything like that, because it's just subtle little bumps. But it does a really good job of adding that little grip where you need it on the mouse. The rest of the mouse is made of matte plastic, not glossy plastic, so super kudos to SteelSeries for that because I'm getting sick and tired of seeing glossy plastic on products. I'm super happy with that. Again, on the right side you do have the back and forward buttons. They are super clicky, like more clicky than the actual normal left and right clicks, and it's super satisfying to hit. The forward button is a bit less satisfying and a bit more mushy, and it's actually about half the size of the back button, but that's a button you're going to use a lot less often, and especially in games, and so I guess that's what they were going for. I would have preferred it to be a bit more bigger and more prominent, as I like treating my buttons equally, but hey, who am I to judge? The scroll wheel is quite interesting. It is very satisfying. It is super responsive, it is super tight, it scrolls when you scroll. It's got a nice rubber texture to it that unfortunately picks up a lot of dust, but it makes sure that you're never going to slide your finger across it and it not scroll. The actual middle mouse button on the scroll wheel is super responsive and clicky as well. My only complaint is that it doesn't have infinity scroll, and I know this is primarily a Logitech mouse thing, but it's something that I've become extremely useful to on both the Logitech Proteus Core and my MX Master that I'm using as my main daily driver. And while for gaming infinity scroll isn't that great, for productivity, I'm a guy who doesn't like switching between mice for doing different things. I want one mouse that I'm going to use for everything. Productivity, goofing off, gaming. And so I'm not going to switch between different mice. And so I expect, one mouse to do what I want. The scroll wheel on this doesn't have infinity scroll. And scrolling through web pages on this is actually awful because it is so slow and accurate. So that means when you're scrolling through stuff in a game, it's going to be perfect. It's going to be absolutely amazing. And that's what this mouse is targeted for. But if you're using it for anything else, scrolling through a Facebook feed, scrolling through a multi-page, article online, etc., you're going to take forever. Below the scroll wheel is a button to change the DPI of the mouse, and for once they've set it up in a non-intrusive way that I'm not accidentally hitting all the time, which is really rare for a mouse for me. The scroll wheel middle mouse button is also super clicky and responsive and very satisfying to hit. Now dropping down to the bottom of the mouse is where most of my disappointment lies. This is pretty much unavoidable, but still a very strong complaint from myself, is that the adhesive from the sticker of the actual label of the mouse on the bottom, as well as the removable feet, which I'll touch on in a minute, still remains on the sides, which attracts dust, dirt, hair, fabric from my mouse pad, and it looks gross. It builds up a bunch of gunk around it, and it's a pain in the ass to try to clean. This is probably unavoidable because they stick it on with adhesive. Adhesive residue remains on the sides, and that's just what happens, but it's a pain in the ass for me nonetheless. Now I did mention the feet are removable. They're stuck on there with some adhesive or glue, so you're not going to want to try to remove it just to play with it and expect it to go back on without falling off. Not going to be how it works, but they do have little notches where you can just use your nail to actually pull up the feet and replace them with new ones. Very handy feature that a lot of people complain about not being on a mouse. The USB cable is about 3 feet in length and is alright. It's not fancy braided or anything like that, and it's not detachable either, which I would like to see. That's becoming more and more standard on higher end mice, but not super standard on lower end, just plain Jane mice like this one. The USB end is your standard SteelSeries branded USB connector. Doesn't come with a PS2 adapter, but I'm not going to be using that anyway, so not a big deal for me. And if you're someone who has bought more than one mouse or have had them in the past, you probably have a million of those adapters laying around. Lastly, on the mouse, we have the LED accents. We have the SteelSeries logo, which lights up, as well as some LEDs around the scroll wheel, and these look great. By default, it's set to SteelSeries orange, but you can change that in the SteelSeries engine software. However, I leave it on the default orange because that's what I like to see from a SteelSeries mouse. It looks great. It's super bright. Not too bright though. I haven't seen any fluctuation in the light consistency. It is continuously lit. No dead LEDs. Nothing like that. Looks great. Provides a great accent for what's otherwise a super plain and boring looking mouse. The left and right mouse click ears are a bit on the soft side. They provide a bit of resistance compared to something like my MX Master wireless mouse. But they're still pretty satisfying and super accurate and very clicky, and it's a mouse. Clickers rarely go wrong, in my experience. Overall, the SteelSeries Rival 100 is a great refresh to their standard, baseline gaming mouse, and it will do great for anyone just wanting a basic gaming experience. It does provide back and forward buttons which can be binded to actions in game, such as reload, melee, etc. Super handy to have on a mouse, and super handy to have when web browsing as well. Just keep an eye out for that scroll wheel, as scrolling through Facebook, articles, etc. will be super slow. I hope you enjoyed my review. My name's been Adam Rainbows Fox. If you liked the video, be sure to smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe for more awesome tech videos. Check out links in the description below to our social media profiles, Twitter, Facebook, Vine, Instagram, etc. Our Patreon campaign where you can get early access to all of our videos by contributing a small monthly fee. Our sponsor, advertisement links, all that jazz down there in the description. Leave us a comment and I'll see you next time.